Hello and welcome to this video on post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth, or PTG, is a concept that was put forward by two psychologists called Tedeschi and Calhoun in the mid-1990s. They found that those people who have been through extreme adversity often had positive psychological changes as a result. In many of their studies, they found that when people who had gone through extreme adversity reflected on the challenges that they had, learning, growth, and positive outcomes were soon to follow. When we look at the definition of post-traumatic growth, it is the positive psychological change that is experienced as a result of challenge or adversity. It's essentially the move to a higher level of functioning, the move to a higher level of consciousness as a result of going through challenges and working your way through them. What they propose is when someone experiences extreme adversity, the struggle with reality that they have as a result of that challenge leads and lifts them to higher states of consciousness. And when these people are able to reflect on the events, they're able to identify all of the many different positive benefits they received as a result of the trauma. Now, this is in stark contrast to the research before the 1990s, which was mainly directed at post-traumatic stress disorder. And that research was really heavily looking at the negatives and the downsides of what happens after an adverse event. So actually, the look into PTG, or post-traumatic growth, is a very different shift in how we're looking at the psychological effect of trauma. Wen-Jing et al. In 2021 looked at all of the research since 1996, and they found that this growing body of research supporting post-traumatic growth is actually giving us new ways to find how we can use trauma to our advantage after having gone through it. And this is somewhat in alignment to the legendary book Man's Search for Meaning, which is written by Viktor Frankl, where he was able to transform his perception and experience of going through the Nazi concentration camps by having a deep and meaningful connection to why he was going through it. So when he was able to connect to that deep meaning, he was able to transform the suffering where others weren't. Now, I'm not in any way suggesting this is easy or not in any way suggesting that it's quick to do, but this growing body of research shows that even if you have been through a traumatic or a painful event, there can be positive psychological changes, there can be growth, there can be learning opportunities on the other side, which will allow you to transcend that trauma and to be no longer impacted by it. Now, we're not in any way pretending that the negatives or the downsides of the trauma don't exist. We're simply suggesting and having people look at, as well as the negatives, what are the benefits and the positives. And when we can look at a more balanced view of what happened, this allows us to release feelings of trauma and the emotions that come with it and allow us to move forwards. And what many of the research studies show is that this post-traumatic growth changes the way that people think, it changes the way that they relate to the world, and it has a deep and meaningful impact on the psychology of the person. One of the ways that we can facilitate this post-traumatic growth is by asking high-quality questions to help people to balance and change their perceptions. So understanding and learning about post-traumatic growth can give us the ideal frame through which we can help people release, reduce, and resolve traumatic events. Thank you.